Everyone wants financial freedom, yet it's really hard to achieve. What if I told you you don't have to wait until you're 60 years old in order to retire? What if I told you you could retire as early as 30 years old or younger? And if you happen to be older and you're watching this video, it would only take about 1 to 3 years to get yourself in a position to retire. Well, if you want to work towards retiring significantly earlier than you thought possible, this is the video for you. Hey guys, Corey here. Welcome to the channel. Be sure to subscribe and tap the bell. This way you know when I post new videos, and give me a thumbs up as it greatly helps the channel grow. This is another one of those topics that my students and I talk about all the time: retiring early. Retirement is something that a lot of people don't think about until they're in their 30s or 40s, and some people don't even think about retirement till they're in their 50s. Believe me, I know. You'd be surprised at how many people push off the planning or the even thought of retirement until they're 50 years old or even 55 years old, sometimes even older than that. Retirement is something that could come much earlier. If you're 18 or 20 years old or even 25 years old, if you're under 30, you could be retired by 30 or 35 if you do everything the right way. And what I mean by that is you really only need to understand options and stocks and then have $100,000 to start your retirement. How long does it take to save up $100,000? Well, that's on you and your job. Once you have $100,000 and start trading, you only have to work while you're trading for about another year or two at the most. So even if you're 40, you could be retired by 45 or 43. There's one other video that I'm going to make for you guys that I've discussed with my students, and that is a video on how you can be fully retired by 25 or 30 if you start when you're 18. Look out for that video, and if you guys want to see it, leave a comment in the comment box below. My students and I are discussing how to retire with $100,000. We go over a lot of things in my Discord. I've been coaching my students to understand how successful they can be into retiring early, and they never thought it was possible till they start to see it in action. Being able to retire early is a lot easier than you think. So if you guys want to be a part of my Discord like my students are and surround yourself with like-minded people that have went through the same hardships that you have and found success, where you guys can learn from each other and grow your wealth together, as well as get coaching and mentoring from me one-on-one, you guys can sign up by going to my website right there on the screen, investwithcorey.com. I have very limited spots available right now. There's only a few left for the month of June. We're just about full. So head over there if you guys want to join my Discord, my full training course, and one-on-one coaching with me. I look forward to seeing you over there. I just want to point out that I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. I'm here to teach you guys technicals, fundamentals, financials, tips, and strategies on the market. However, it's ultimately up to you to decide which stocks you want to put your money into, and ultimately how much of a position size that you want to have in that stock, as it's your money. To retire early, you really need about $100,000. Now, there's a lot of people that'll tell you that you need 500,000, a million, and there's a lot of videos out there saying you need 250,000. $250,000 is a really good starting point for a safe retirement, but you can do it on 100,000 if you know the strategies and how to diversify your portfolio. There's really a few steps. Step number one, you got to save up $100,000. So if you have a $50,000 a year job and your expenses are $30,000, you got to try to get at least 10 to 15 grand a year put away. That is going to take about 8 years. If you have a chance to make more money, have a side job, maybe sell a car and get a cheaper car, all you need is about $100,000. And most people, I would think that in a few years would be able to achieve that goal, but if it takes a little longer, that's okay. If you're only 30 years old, you should be able to achieve that by 35 or 36. Maybe sooner. If you're younger, in your 20s, then you could pretty much live with your parents and save up everything you make for 1 or 2 years, and then you're pretty much on the path to retirement. However, if you're 35, 45, 55, and have a family to support, you have to kind of put yourself in a position where you can still live comfortably, but you're not overspending. If you have a 401k or you have other savings accounts that you have financial advisors that are, taking care of those accounts, they're not really that good. A financial advisor's, I don't want to say it's a waste, but financial advisors, you pay them a lot of money to do like really safe trades. And some of my students had a financial advisor and they were only making like $4 grand a year on $50,000, $4,000 a year on $50,000. Some were making 5 or 6. They averaged a very low return. It took 5 years to turn 15 grand into 30 grand. That's ridiculous. It's almost like no profit at all. So if you have money with a financial advisor or you have a 401k, you have options to access money where you can retire on. But ultimately, it's up to you how to do that. I don't really want to tell you what to do with that money, as I'm not a financial advisor, but if you have access to be able to start adding up money to get closer to 100,000, then that is the key. Once you have 100,000, let me show you how you can retire on $100,000. First and foremost, you cannot sell just puts or just sell calls or just own stock. You have to diversify your portfolio. So you want to have about 5 to 10% of your portfolio selling puts, 5 to 10% of your portfolio selling covered calls on stocks you own, 5 to 10% of your portfolio with leap options selling covered calls. Then you want to have about another 5 to 10% selling put credit spreads, another 5 to 10% selling call credit spreads. And then you can also have another 20 to 30% of your portfolio holding stocks, selling covered calls, and whatever you have remaining in your portfolio, you can run the double dividend strategy, which is buying a dividend stock, collecting the dividend, holding the stocks as well, and then selling covered calls that are kind of out of the money, making a few extra dollars. If you diversify your portfolio in this fashion, you can bring in anywhere between $7,000 and $12,000 a month on 100 grand. So if you think about that, after tax, that's about 9 grand a month. You can survive on that. And you could probably survive on 5 or 6 and let the other 3,000 compound your wealth. So you could start retiring now, live off 5 grand, pay your taxes, let the account grow by 4 grand. And at the end of the year, you will have another 48,000. So after 2 years, you're up to 200K while you're surviving on it. After 4 years, you'd be up to 400 or 500K. If you play your cards right, you could still get to $1 million in about 10 years, maybe 11 years. And that is while you were living on $5,000, $6,000 profit from that $100,000. Believe me, I know it sounds like a bunch of Greek right now, but let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. Let's get right to it. I'm going to show you in my small challenge brokerage account what you guys can do to generate safe passive income and retire on $100,000. So we're going to start off with Affirm. Affirm is not likely to go to $34. So what we're going to do is we are going to sell a call credit spread. We're going to go out to July 31st, 1 month. Weekly options are more juicy than monthly. So the numbers I'm going to give you are all monthly, which means you're going to make more if you're doing weekly. So we're going to go ahead and sell a $34 call, buy the 39, and this is a $500 spread. We're going to do 20 contracts and we're going to sell them at 60. Well, we could probably get more than 60. We could probably do 65. We get filled at 65 for sure. So that means in 1 month, we make $1,300. All right. So I'm going to mark this down because I'm going to give you guys the full overview of this. $1,300 collateral is 87. All right. So we do those 20 contracts every month. We'll generate 1,300 off of this 8 grand. We'll go over to Robinhood and we'll go ahead and sell puts because we don't want to do calls on everything because if the market goes up, then we lose all of our positions. So we're going to diversify and sell puts. Robinhood $20 puts are going to print a lot of ludicrous cash, but we could go safer, but I don't see Robinhood going much below 20. 19 would be really safe at this point in time. So let's look at $20 puts. We're going to click on that and then we're going to click on 110. We're going to sell 5 contracts, $9,450. We're going to collect $550 juicy premium. So 9,400 brings in another 550. If we get assigned on these, we just start selling covered calls at $21, $21.50 or $22, make a profit on the stock and go aggressive. Remember, this retirement account, we're going to go aggressive on the calls because we're not holding stocks long term. We are trying to get aggressive juicy premium and we don't care if we get assigned because if I sell the $21 call after we sell $20 puts, we're making $100 per share, 5 contracts, 500 shares, that's $500 profit. Plus we're going to collect like $160 per contract. So the covered calls are actually going to generate $600-700 a month. And if we get assigned, who cares? We'll find another stock. This is not a long-term holding account. This is a retirement account to generate juicy premium. So $550 for this for the month until we get assigned. We go over to Meta. We're going to go ahead and sell a put credit spread. Meta is unlikely to fall below 450. We can see that it's an 80% chance of success. We sell the 450, then we buy the 445 and we do 10 contracts, $4,000 collateral, a little bit less because Meta's volatile. So we don't want any more than 4,000 out of 100,000, which is 4%. That's going to give us a nice juicy premium of about $980. We're probably going to go $1 on this because it's a better price between the bid and the ask. That gives us $1,000 on 4,000. So I'm going to write this down here. So that's trade number 3. Trade number 4, we are going to buy 5 leap options March 21 of 2025. And we're going to buy the $90 call because I own some of them. Unlikely Nike's going to go to $90. If it does, you can roll out and down a little bit if need be. But we're going to go ahead and buy 5 of those, which is going to cost us $6,800. And in turn, we are going to sell $98 calls 1 month out. Nike's unlikely to jump $4 in a month if earnings isn't, in the vicinity, like in a 1 or 2 week window. If it is, then we'll just go weekly on the option and we'll go further out. $242 times 5 contracts, $2.42. We could actually sell this for $2.55 right in between. So this is going to be $1,275. I'll mark this down as well. I'll show you what we're talking about here. $1,275 a month. There we go. Now we're going to go over to Lyft and we are going to buy 1,000 shares of Lyft, which I will show you how much that will cost. We're going to do 1,000 shares of Lyft, 15,340. It's okay to go 15% on something like this because we're holding shares and we're not using options. So worst case scenario, we just hold longer. We'll recoup our money and we'll be safe. I really don't like going above 10%, but 15% considering all the other incomes we're making, this is safe. Now what we're going to do is go over to here. Now that we bought 1,000 shares, that's 100 shares per contract. 1,000 shares divided by 110 contracts. We put in 10 contracts. We sell $16 calls, which is almost $1 out of the money, like 70, 80 cents, depending on the day. It's a little bit aggressive. Don't care if we get assigned. We're making profits and a lot more juicy premium. We go out a month on this with $77, which will get 80. 10 times 80, $800 a month. So I wrote that down. So let's total it all up. Okay. If we add this up, we are looking at $29,095 for the options. So Lyft is going to be $15,340. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to 5 contracts, $68.25. And then we're going to go over here to Meta, $4,000 on Meta. And then we're going to go over to Robinhood. There's $94.50 over there. All righty. And then we're going to go over to Firm, $8,700. So we're only talking about $44,000. It's not even half the money. All right, 44,000. You guys are seeing that. We're going to remember that number. And now we're going to go ahead and we are going to add up our profits. So we're going to get 800. Then we're going to go over here to Nike and we're going to get 1275. We'll go over here to Meta, 1,000. And then we're going to go to Robinhood at 550. And then we're going to go over to Affirm at 1,300. So we're already bringing in $5,000 a month. And we've only used half the money. There you go. $10,000 a month on 100 grand. So we're at 5,000, basically 5,000. We'll say 4,900, okay? All right, so let me show you. Okay, so here we go. 44,315 equals $4,900. All right, so we're over 10% per month. If we do weekly options, it'll make up for some bad plays and also make up for certain things that may happen and probably still be a little bit higher than this. So it's safe to say on average about $4,900 a month. So we got that written down. We'll go take one more play. We're going to go over here to Microsoft to tech stocks. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to sell some put credit spreads. We're going to go out a month. And Microsoft is really unlikely to fall below 400. I mean, it could happen, but I would say to play it safe and just bring in some extra juicy premium really safe, we would like sell 395 puts. And then we would buy 385. $1,000 spread, $99. $1,000 times 5, $5,000 spreads. It's $4,500 to make 500. So another $4,500 to make 500. All right. Another $4,500 to make another 500. And then we'll go ahead and we'll play another safe option here. We will do 500 shares of Palantir since Palantir is pretty, consolidating. So we'll do Palantir. We'll buy about 500 shares, which will cost about $10,000. Let me actually pull the calculator up. 2212 times 500. It'll be about 11,060. All right. So we'll put that in 11,060. Which gives us 5 contracts to sell on Palantir. We go out a month, sell calls. We don't care if we're getting assigned. We want the aggressive premium every week till we're assigned, and we're going to make a profit. So we sell 2250s. 2250s going out a month, 89. We got 5 of those bad boys. So we'll do 0.92 and we'll sell 5. There's another $460 a month until we're assigned. And once we're assigned, we just do it again with another stock, or we sell puts. The idea would be is we would sell puts to get in probably first, because that would generate more money. But if we just bought the calls, or if we just bought the shares, excuse me, we would sell these covered calls. And so 11,000 makes another $460. We make more weekly, by the way. Just remember that. Another $460. So 460. All right. Add her up. All right. So 44,315 plus 4,500 plus 1160. We're still only at 59. My God, we're like barely over half. See how much money that is? 59,875 turns into 4,900 plus 500 plus 460 equals 5,860. So almost 6,000. Just for the sake of it, we'll just put $5,900. You see how this adds up. We got some safe plays, some aggressive plays. As we get closer to $80,000 or $90,000, you're going to be pushing 10 grand. And like have a lot of expenses, this can add up. This is a 10%. So you see it's right at 10%. So 100 grand is going to make you between 7,000 and 10,000 a month with these types of plays. If you're a little safer, 100 grand makes about 5 to 6 grand a month, like really safe. But if you play slightly aggressive and don't care if you get assigned uncovered calls, which is great because it doesn't really matter. You can't go broke taking profits. Then you can make 8 to 10%. 100 grand will make you between 8 and 10,000 a month, give or take. So you can retire on that, especially if your bills are less than 4,000 or 5,000 a month. You're basically 5 grand a month in the positive, and you're paying that 5 grand to live off of from your profit. So your profit's growing your account by 5 grand a month. The other 5 grand a month, you survive. You have to make a little bit of room for taxes though. So you have to keep in mind about that. You'll owe about $2,500 a month in taxes, but I'm not a tax advisor, so no tax advice for me. That's just roughly what it would be, maybe more. But you guys can see how you can actually put together a nice retirement fund. 50 grand makes you about 6,000 a month consistently. And once you get to 200,000, that's where you can start being even safer and still making 12 to 15,000 a month. And if you don't have a lot of expenses, or you have an extra 100,000 to do your retirement account, or you have $100,000 put away and you don't have to live off it, then let's see what would happen there. Well, what is 5,860 times 12? At the end of the year, you had 70 grand. So now you have 170 grand. So now you're making about 14,000 a month. So you figure 70 grand plus 100,000. After the first year, you'll have 173.20. So we'll erase some of this. After the first year, to keep it simple, we'll do 170. You'll have $170,000 by the first year, roughly, if you don't use any of the money. Now, after you pay taxes, you'll be left with about 140, but we're not going to talk about taxes. That's, up to you guys. So we're at 170. Now we can make about 14,000 a month on 170. So $14,000 a month times 12 is 168 plus 170. So after 2 years, you'll have $338,000, of course, minus taxes, but that's how far you go from 100K. You can triple your money in 2 years. By the time you pay taxes or whatever, and you do this for like another, year, you'll be pretty close to $500,000. I would say 100K to $500,000 is about 4 years. But at this point in time, even after tax, one more year, like once you start breaking 300,000, you're talking like 15, 20 grand a month. Even in the safe strategies, you're like 12 grand a month. Like on 300 grand, you can play extremely, extremely safe where you almost have no problems and you're still making 12 grand a month. So you can get there. They always say the hardest part about becoming a millionaire is reaching 100K first. Take it from advice. 100K is impossible. Once you hit 100K, hitting $1 million is relatively easy. To go from 100K to $1 million is about the same as going from like a couple $100 to like, 1,000. That's really how easy it is. It's not easy, but you have to understand how hard to get to 100K. Like that's hard. And then going from 100K to $1 million, it's not as hard. So this is a really good retirement strategy. So you see, getting to retirement early is hard, but not impossible. If you have access to $100,000, you can start the process, and in 2 years, you're at $300,000, and you can pretty much fully retire with no job at $300,000. Now, you could do it at $100,000, but it is a little stressful. Once you get to $300,000, which only takes 2 years, roughly, give or take, could take a little longer, a little less, depending on your trades. That's the point in which you can pretty much fully retire, because on $300,000, you can bring in a consistent $15,000 a month, pay your taxes, live off of it, and still have $3,000 to $4,000 a month left over. And slowly over the course of the years, that $300,000 will grow into $500,000 and $600,000. But that is the point at which you're fully retired. The $100,000 is perfect to start your retirement, but stay working so you don't have to touch any of the $100,000 for 2 years. So if you're 50 and you have $100,000, by 53, you're retired. If you're 40, by 43, you're retired. It's about a 2 to 3 year gap from when you start to when you can actually stop working. And all you need to make this happen is $100,000. And I know it's easier said than done, but if you think about it, a lot of us have jobs that are 60K to 100K. So it's only about 1 to 3 years, depending on your living situation. For most people, probably closer to 3. So even if you start now at age 50, by 53, you got your 100K, maybe 54, and by 56, 57, you're retired. So worst case, it takes you 3 to 4 years to get the 100K and another 3 years to get the 300K. 6 years, maybe 7. So even if you're 50, by 57, you're retired. You did more in that 7 years than you did in the previous 30 years. This is how powerful this is. If you're 20 years old, it might take you 4 to 5 years to save up 100K, another 2 to 3 to get the 300K. Keep working because you can turn that into $1 million by age 30 or 35. Then you're done because $1 million account makes a lot. And I mean a lot of money. I have a 7-figure portfolio and another 6-figure portfolio. And believe me, it's a lot. On $1 million, on a flat $1 million, you can consistently make about 50 to 60 grand a month. Very safe. If I play aggressive, which I have sometimes, you can make upwards of 80 or 90 grand a month on $1 million. So if you start when you're 20, by 30, you're done. You start when you're 50, by 60, you're done. But if you want to do it more conservatively and just stop at 300K, you can do that within 3 to 7 years, depending if you're starting with 100K or if you need 2 to 3 years to come up with it. But either way, 3 to 6 years and you're all good to go to retire and have financial freedom. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for being here. Be sure to subscribe and tap the bell if you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want to see another video on a deeper aspect of retiring early and the double dividend strategy, be sure to comment below. And if you guys are interested in me coaching you one-on-one and you want to join the Discord and learn from like-minded people that are going through the same thing you're going through and trying to better their lives and retire early, you can do so at any time, guys. And I only have a few spots left, so sign up on my website right there, www.investwithcorey.com. I hope to see you guys over there. And wait, don't worry. I picked out another video just for you guys. How to make money and get paid to buy your favorite stocks. And that video is right here. Click on that video and I'll see you over there. And remember, guys, let's grow our wealth together. Take care, and I'll see you over on this video.